Hi everyone! It's been a while since my last time lapse, but I managed to film the whole process of this fox painting and I wanted to share with you my thoughts and struggles while creating it. This painting is the first one I tried on my new Archie's watercolor pad. It's the cold press and I desperately wanted to try watercolors on it. I haven't done many watercolor paintings and I'm far from experienced with them, but I could immediately see why everyone loves this paper so much. I love it too now. The initial idea for this painting was to make the fox look like it is in a magical forest, like it came out from a fairy tale. I don't think I succeeded in that, and even though I like the final result, I think that the atmosphere is not there at all. It felt pretty simple to accomplish that when I had it in my mind, but when I started painting with watercolors, especially because I don't have any experience with them, everything kind of fell apart slowly. I'm probably making it sound worse than it actually is, but it feels a little bit bad when you try to accomplish something and the result is not exactly what you wanted it to be, even if it is nice anyway. So I started very carefully to make sure that I don't go too dark too early. I was very careful at the start because I am not experienced enough with watercolors to know exactly how the colors will come out once they're dry. And I loved the first layers. I think they were very bright and colorful and at the same time not dark. When I started working on the fox itself though, the first questions started popping up in my mind. I didn't know if I wanted to go just for the values and make it look a little bit more loose or add the details of the hairs as well. I was confused and I think that showed because my indecision made me do things that I wasn't completely certain about. I know that it's true for every medium, but especially with watercolors because they are kind of unforgiving. It is important that you know exactly what you want to do before you do it. I have been affected by it in many paintings, and I know that when I have a very specific goal in my mind, everything works out better in the end. So I think I paid the price for it. I was not that disappointed at the moment, I just started feeling that it will not turn out the way I want it to turn. So I got impatient to see if I can achieve the result I want to achieve. And what happens in this situation is that I go too dark too early. And I do think that with the leaves I did go too dark too early and I didn't make sure to keep the brightness of the colors I wanted to be bright showing through enough. I do like the end result of the leaves, but it is not what I had in mind initially. I tried to go back with white gouache mixed with some paint for a tint of color, but it didn't work. It looked opaque while it was wet, but once it was dry, it would get absorbed within the paper and completely get lost in the darkness of the color below it. I still don't know why it didn't work. I thought gouache was supposed to be opaque, and I will research for it, but at the moment it was just not working, so I stopped trying. What I learned from that is that I need to really keep my brights bright with watercolors, which is something that I did know before. I just thought that I could use the gouache to make my life easier. Apparently it's not working the way I thought it would, so next time I will know better to either protect the areas by just being extra careful or with using masking fluid to make sure nothing goes where it shouldn't go. Because of all of that confusion and my indecision concerning watercolors, I thought that I would finish the watercolor part as fast as possible and not keep it as a watercolor painting after all. I decided to go in with colored pencils and a white Posca pen to maybe achieve the result I wanted to with a mixed media painting. I'm hoping in the future I will be experienced and confident enough to make a complete watercolor painting the way I want it, but for now I'm just experimenting and trying whatever I think will get me the result I want without worrying too much about it. I started working with colored pencils and I did bring some of the brightness back. I also was able to add some details that I wouldn't be able to add at this point with watercolors, so I was quite happy with that. My only objection at this point was that I don't quite like the texture of the colored pencils on top of watercolors, especially when it is on cold press paper. I didn't let that stop me though. I know it's a personal preference and I know that it is not that obvious in the finished piece, especially if you don't go very close and look at the details very closely. So I kept going, I kept adding details with colored pencils and my white Posca pen in order to achieve the result I was going for. At this point, I was just trying to learn as much as possible from this piece and make it look as good as possible, even if a lot of things had gone wrong so far. After all this effort and the struggle, I am very happy with the result anyway. It may not be as magical and like a fairy tale as I had hoped it would be, but it is nice anyway. I do like it. I like the fox, I like the leaves, I do like the atmosphere, even if it's more, let's call it realistic. I definitely learned a lot from this piece. First of all, I learned not to give up when something goes wrong, because the result can be nice anyway. For the more technical stuff, I learned to be more patient with watercolors and really build those layers slowly, because that's how I like to work and that's how I think I can actually get the result I want. I learned that I would like to work smaller next time so that I can actually have the patience to do that, because the big piece I think affected me in a way that I rushed through things because I wanted to see the result faster. I think that because I don't know the medium and I'm not completely certain for the result I get impatient in order to see the result and mess up the process. Maybe if I'm more experienced in the future, I would like to work bigger, but as with any medium so far, I think working smaller at the start makes it better for me to learn, understand, and be patient with a new medium. As I said earlier, I also learned to make sure to keep the brights bright without hoping that I can get them back afterwards with gouache. Either have the paper show through by being extra careful with my brush, or use masking fluid to protect the areas I want to protect. In addition to that, I now know that I don't like the feel of colored pencils on top of watercolors, so I will either not use them at all or just rarely in my future paintings, and I will also use my Posca pen less because I think that I overdid it a little bit on this piece. This should also not be necessary if I manage to keep my brights bright as they should be from the beginning. I know I sounded a little bit negative throughout this whole video, but as I said at the start, I do like the end result and I am happy it happened that way, because I think that if everything goes well, we don't learn as fast. I don't mind adjusting and let's call it failing, because that's the way I learn the most and I grow the most. I just wanted to share with you everything bad that happened in order to make you believe that it's not as important. You can just push through the difficulties and have a good result anyway. It may not sound like that, but my point was to be positive and encourage you to just keep pushing and learning when it comes to a new medium. I hope I did manage to get this message through to you, and I hope you found this video useful. If you did, please leave it a thumbs up before you go. Let me know in the comments below if you have any advice or if you're struggling with something at the moment. If you'd like to see more videos like this, consider subscribing to my channel, and don't forget to hit the bell button so that you get notified whenever I upload a new video. I hope to see you on the next one. Until then, be safe, be happy, and keep going for your dreams. Bye!